Errors and omissions insurance. We hear about it. It's like some mythical creature in the real estate world that we know it exists. We know the great Minotaur was out there and it had a certain shape and a certain form, and lots of us talk about it. But how many of us have actually seen it? How many of us have actually had to battle it? What's it for? Does it have benefits? Does it have cons? What's the deal? Um, I'm going to tell you, even the most diligent real estate professional is going to face some type of legal challenge in their career. I don't care whether it's a missed disclosure or an incorrect property description, clerical error. These kinds of issues can certainly lead to some very costly disputes. And ultimately, it's you versus them, always. Um, well, real estate errors and omissions insurance, and I'm going to call it E&O for the rest of our conversation today. Real estate E&O protects agents and brokers and brokerages from the financial fallout of these errors, oversights, negligence during property transactions, even. this coverage this coverage is honestly essential. It's one misstep should not jeopardize everything that you have built into your career or your real estate business. I'm going to discuss what E&O is for real estate, what it's going to cover, what the typical costs are. We'll throw that out there, even how and why you would file a claim. So first off, this is an insurance program. E&O is a type of liability insurance for both businesses and individuals. In real estate, specifically, E&O is going to cover mistakes or oversights made by real estate agents during the work. Those kind of mistakes are going to include failing to disclose information about a property, providing inaccurate advice during the transaction, or making clerical errors in your contracts and forms. Even with the best intentions, successful real estate agents and brokers can cause errors that will lead to a financial loss or some type of legal dispute for their client. So what does it cover? Well, how is this E&O myth protecting me? So various situations can cause a real estate professional to leverage this insurance. Misrepresentation is a big one and probably the most common. Failure to disclose critical property information, negligence, and even accusations of fraud. The insurance typically covers the legal defense costs, the court fees, and potentially settlements and judgments that are resulting from these types of claims. A huge plus for real estate agents. So let's talk about what's covered and what wouldn't be covered. And you please use this as a 90 percentile, right? It covers negligence, negligent acts specifically, covers copyright infringement, it covers bad legal or financial advice, it covers personal injury, court costs, and if there are punitive damages awarded, the insurance would cover that as well. Now let's talk about what isn't covered. You can still be sued for it. You can still get in trouble for it. You can still lose your license for a few of these items, but your E&O insurance cannot help you cover the costs or bail you out, so to speak. So not covered: false advertising or false representation, bodily injury or property damage of a property that is being represented by you as a listing agent, employer liability claims like sexual harassment, child endangerment, things like that. Not going to cover that. Workers' compensation claims. If you as a real estate agent try to sue your brokerage because you get hurt on the job as a 1099 employee, you're going to be hard pressed to find them liable for it. However, I'll tell you, E&O would not cover you anyway. You're going to have some type of separate business insurance as a broker or brokerage to cover those types of things. And then patents and trade secrets. I can tell you, Keystone has certain IP that is protected. Every single one of our agents have an NDA. And although we do a lot of things according to the industry standard so that we don't have to do things different, the things that do make us special, our program, the way that we take care of our agents, our internal workings, those are all protected by patents and trade secrets. That NDA covers us for that. So if I ever had a real estate agent go somewhere else and decide to use our program or change that company's business to use our program, essentially hurting us because they learned how to do something better from us, they would absolutely get sued for it. And that other company's or that agent's personal E&O insurance would not cover it. Knowing some common examples of E&O claims is maybe important in helping you avoid dealing with these kinds of issues. So I put together a couple of examples. This one is going to feel very scripted. I'm going to kind of read a prompt so that I don't go outside of the story itself. But I want to make sure that you understand specific stories that you can kind of tie to. So let's talk about Jane, the real estate agent. Jane is a diligent real estate agent. She proudly sells a charming home to a young couple. However, she unknowingly missed disclosing a very critical detail about the house. The roof has a persistent leak. So months later, after a harrowing rainstorm, the new couple that bought the home discovers this issue, faces significant repair costs. Now the couple feels deceived, right? The couple feels like the agent had to know about this. The person that came in and did the repairs for us told us this has been a persistent leak. Your inspector missed it. Your appraiser missed it. Your agent probably knew about it. Obviously, it was covered up with fresh paint. Whatever the story is, it's all going to make it look like it was covered up by somebody, and you as a real estate agent should have known about it as the expert. So this couple, feeling deceived, file a claim against Jane, the real estate agent, not the brokerage, Jane, their agent directly, for not providing that essential information. So without the E&O insurance, Jane would be on the hook for a hefty legal battle and financial repercussions that come in behind it. This scenario underscores the critical role of the E&O insurance and how it protects that agent from unexpected oversights. Because if you haven't learned anything in the United States, and especially in Florida, there's a good lawyer behind every scenario, and 9 times out of 10, they have no problem running up another bill and getting someone else back into the courtroom to make sure that they continue to make money. And if you know anything about lawsuits, everybody might have to deal with one in some point in their life, but you're going to find out the one person that always gets paid no matter what is the attorney. Example number 2. John lists a beautiful property and mistakenly advertises it in the MLS as having 4 bedrooms instead of 3. A family excitedly goes for an open house, only to realize that's an advertising error, an advertising misrepresentation. So now, feeling misled, they file a claim against John for this discrepancy. This every single day mistake quickly escalates into a significant issue, highlights the necessity for E&O insurance for real estate agents. E&O coverage would protect an agent like John against any financial fallout of such a simple impact, right? It is amazing how many times I personally see, by bringing buyers out to properties, what I saw in the selling paragraph, or nowadays especially what some agent through an AI engine didn't fact check it, put it publicly in the MLS, copy pasted, and now the house is misrepresented. And if people understood how easy it was to go out there and challenge that advertising as false advertising, a lot more agents would learn faster. However, my advice isn't, hey, more people should go out there and challenge these things. More people should hold their real estate accountable for correcting the information. So why would an agent specifically need E&O insurance? I can tell you, and I want to be careful about this one because we're in Florida. We are based here in just south of Tampa Bay. So we are in the Tampa Bay region. But we, as in Keystone, do business all the way to the northern border of Florida, all the way to the southern border of Florida, both east and west coast, into the Keys and into the Bahamas. So several states require agents to actually carry E&O coverage as a part of their licensing procedure. That way it ensures that those professionals are adequately protected for these things. This mandatory coverage in those states is going to help safeguard those agents and clients from potential financial and legal repercussions. Because remember, where there's a buyer, there's a seller, and vice versa. So the lawsuit might include the new person in the transaction or the person that sold the house that may not have told you appropriately about it. I can tell you right now, as of this morning, the following states have that insurance requirement for agents as an individual, which is why I'll know about it. Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Dakota, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Wyoming. 2 of those states are on our expansion list for Keystone for this next year. So we wanted to make absolutely sure that we put in our policies and procedures manuals for those states specifically that they must have individual agent E&O coverage as well as what the brokerage will cover. Now, Florida and the other states that were not mentioned do not require agents to have specific E&O insurance, although they can, and certainly each professional should consider it individually, and it's part of your business budget. So certainly double coverage, the belt and suspenders ideal behind insurance, is probably better than not. However, it's worth noting that brokerages typically carry an E&O policy 35,000 feet. It covers the entire team, the entire set of agents from any professional errors. Real estate agents, realtors need E&O insurance. It is an unpredictable world out there, and you never know what, when, where, or why a claim may arise. Several every single day mistakes that might not seem like a big deal to an agent can have significant repercussions. And when I say repercussions, I mean financial ruin. And from a client's perspective, potentially gains or at least corrective financial measures. So agents should not jeopardize or put themselves at risk from any type of commissions attack, which is what it would be by missing out on just some essential coverage. What do these kind of things cost? That's a bigger question, right? Costs of E&O insurance vary from a lot of different factors. So size of the company that you work for or the amount of business that they transact. Coverage limits that are chosen is also a big component. So on an average real estate agent, they could expect to pay between $500 and $1,000 annually each agent. At a brokerage level as well, work kind of the same way. But as an individual policy, between $500 and $1,000 for a personal policy. Larger firms with more transactions will definitely face higher premiums due to an increased risk. The more business they do, the more opportunity there is for failure. The cost will also vary based on a couple of other variables, geographic location. So metro areas, higher population densities may have higher premiums. Coverage limits. Higher coverage limits is going to offer more protection, but result in increased premiums for that coverage. Deductibles. Opting for higher deductibles will also lower the premium or have an excessive premium cost because of that deductible allowance. Experience and history. Agents with more experience and a record of clean claims also secure lower premiums. Brokerage size and the type of brokerage matters too. So the cost would vary depending on what the brokerage's overall risk might be, and that's assessed by the insurance company based on the amount and the types of businesses that they do. And then an individual risk assessment too. So premiums will also be influenced by transaction volume and the types of properties that you handle. Whew, must have some weather coming in. My nose can't stop itching this morning. The cost of E&O insurance might seem like an additional expense for you, especially when working as an independent contractor. However, it is a worthwhile expense and should be taken directly out of your real estate salary and your real estate budget for the year. You need to consider the potential financial impact if one of those things did happen to you. If there was a claim against you, the financial fees alone can stack up very quickly. So how do you pick a provider? Where do you find these things? That kind of stuff. All real estate professionals would start by just researching a little bit at E&O insurance for real estate coverage. These providers understand the real estate market. They understand the risks associated with your profession, and they'll be able to evaluate your reputation as well as you should do the same for them. Check their reviews out. Make sure that you can seek out recommendations from other colleagues that are doing this as well. Compare the coverage options so that you can ensure that the comprehensive protection for claims includes misrepresentation and failure to disclose important information. Because remember, it doesn't matter if you didn't know about it in real estate. It matters that you had all of the potential paperwork to protect you from knowing about it. So if you made sure to do a full seller's property disclosure, that protected you as an agent because you had a specific and a very long form for a client to actually go through there and itemize things that should be a risk to the home so that buyers can see that in advance. That way, agents could go, hey, it wasn't even mentioned in this. They misrepresented their home. It was not on me. I provided the proper paperwork to cover me, blah, blah, blah. These kinds of things, right? It is very important to pay attention to what the policy limits would be and what the deductibles might be to balance that adequate coverage for those premiums. But assessing claims so that you can process to insure should be very straightforward and responsive. The reviews that you're looking for is a responsive company that understands how to handle quick response to critical disputes. Be careful anytime you select any insurance company. It needs to be not based on who's necessarily the cheapest, but who has the reputation of taking care of their claimants or their covered people. I don't know what the proper term for this is, but their clients should be first and foremost when it comes to the protections that are in place. There are a lot of good choices out there. I'm not going to recommend any of them. We certainly use several different companies and have switched companies based on changes of rates inside of the real estate market since we opened up Keystone. Whoever you find needs to offer a very streamlined, user-friendly experience, typically for small businesses or medium-sized business. It needs to provide quick online access during off-time hours when these things traditionally come up. And you also need to be able to have access to an advisor in case something does come to term so that they know how to help moderate and how to help guide you through these wickets, right? We have to stay in our lane. We are not insurance agents. We certainly are not E&O or lawsuit experts. So we need to make absolutely sure that we hand that over to the experts when that kind of thing happens. Now, if it happens, how would you file a claim? What would you do? How would you deal with that? Filing a claim under E&O would probably seem daunting, but mostly because of the stress that you're under, because there's a potential threat in front of you, right? Understanding the process will help you receive the necessary support that you need. When you think that a mistake might lead to a claim, you need to act promptly. You need to follow the correcting sweeps. And if your brokerage is the one that has the E&O coverage, they need to be alerted immediately when something could potentially go wrong. So first, if it's your own coverage, notify your insurance provider immediately. If it is a brokerage coverage that handles the E&O, you need to make absolutely sure that they are alerted too. 2, early notification. Bad news does not get better with time. So you need to promptly notify those 2 people, and it's critical to allow them to investigate so that you can respond effectively. Next, you would gather the right documentation, collect all of your relevant documents that you would think would protect you, or whatever documents are being used against you, thinking that this is misrepresented or this was not included, right? And then get all that submitted. Provide all that documentation to your insurer and let them do their job. The insurer is going to do a review. They're going to call you. They're going to review the paperwork that went over. They're going to tell you their opinion. And you need to keep your mouth shut and listen to the experts. Don't talk them through how a legal battle should be handled or talk them through the excuses of the things that you think you did. Listen to their questions, answer their questions honestly and appropriately. Then resolution, right? The insurer will work with you to resolve the issue through settlement regulations or legal defense court if necessary, if it gets to that point. All of you should have signed some type of mediation arbitration disclosure for every single transaction that you did, meaning that you have to have a conversation with a mediator before it can go to a court, and you'll have to hit some type of impasse. It cannot be gotten through before you bother a courthouse docket with this type of thing. And then last, of course, you want to maintain good communications. If you keep open communications during these things, it's certainly going to help your insurer throughout the process to make sure that the transaction goes by smoother. And of course, work with your broker to make absolutely sure that they have headline coverage and understand how to protect you in these things too. First thing that they're probably going to tell you is shut up and stop defending yourself. We have experts for this. That's who needs to be handling this conversation. You are going to slip up and say something with the wrong vocabulary that you didn't mean, or you're inadvertently going to say something that discredits all of your good hard work in the real estate industry because you simply just said it wrong. Now, also, to your insurance company, if you made a mistake, you need to own up to it. The last thing you want to do is run up a bunch of excessive fees to something that you did. If you caused this accident, if you didn't represent something properly and they found out about it, you need to own up, and hopefully between you and your brokerage, you can handle it before it even gets to mediation. So I'll wrap this up quick for you because the last thing we want is an insurance class inside of real estate advisement. Having the insurance coverage is a must to protect your career and the business that you've established. It's your financial stability. Every realtor and real estate agent should understand the common errors. You need to know what the insurance covers. You need to understand how to safeguard yourself against unprecedented challenges in this industry. We will consistently make changes. Now more than ever, buyers brokers agreements, broker to broker agreements, all of these things, the timing is important. How they're filed is important. When you get them into your documents repository for the brokerage is important. Agents, quick side note. The second you begin a transaction, all of those transaction documents are legally required to be inside of a document repository that is owned by the brokerage and is accessible by you. You are both required to have copies of all of those documents for whatever that length of time is in your state. If you're not doing that and you're waiting until the last minute so that you can hurry up and just make sure that you get your commissions check, you're failing yourself and your client. And if you end up in one of these scenarios, that is something that will be discovered. What are the time and date stamps on documents? Are things done appropriately? Did you get all of the right transactional documents in place before you listed a property? Did you get your buyer's brokerage or your representation agreement in place before you showed the first property? By you staying informed, by you staying prepared, which is what today's conversation is about, hopefully it will help you focus on how you can deliver the top-notch service, the next level of education for your client, and keep your real estate livelihood secure. This is all about your GCI. If you can't protect that, then you might as well just be handing over all of your commissions to some brokerage that's taken a huge slice out of your work. The insurance in your corner will help you tackle these challenges. Anything that comes your way, that should be your first right of conversation. Know that you've got the support that you need, and you need to be working with a brokerage that understands the pitfalls of real estate, how to help their agents stay away from those pitfalls, and how to protect them if they inadvertently fall into them. There will be bumps in the road. You are not safe. You will upset someone, and they will come after you for it. This is the protection that you need so you can continue going about your business and let them in to deal with the insurance lawyers. Go ahead and keep those transactions as smooth as possible so that you can advertise how it is the top tier level of experience that your clients deserve. No questions or comments on this one today. You guys are a pretty quiet group. So I thank you. Please do good business, do clean business. We talked about some great numbers last week about how many of you are actually doing deals, and I definitely see that things are picking up in all 50 states. So keep up the hard work. That is attributed to all of you listening and getting out there and just continue the hustle. We appreciate each and every one of you that are viewers. If you are not a subscriber yet, please like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week and do good business. Recordings are stopped. Yeah, nothing.